what has come to light is that it is not so surprising for a lot of people that there are covens amongst the very educated class, architects, doctors, lawyers, priests, brokers, and the leisure class.
These are people who have made pacts with the devil.
That's right. It's really the best, the more accurate way of describing it would be that they have indulged themselves in the worship of the goat, of the prince, of the serpent, of Satan, of Lucifer, and they lead perfectly normal lives. They're jewel merchants. They travel. They're prominent in their own way, but they do have this indulgence.
When a human being is possessed by a demon, what is the purpose of the possession of an individual?
The destruction of that individual's soul to such a point that it must end up in hell. Hell being a place, a location, an existence which is totally separate from God. The belief is that everybody was created to be happy forever. And God wants everybody to enjoy heaven, the joys of heaven, the perpetuity of heaven, the peace of heaven, and the ecstasy of heaven. The demons, excluded from that and barred from it because of their rebellion, want to make sure that as many human beings as possible don't attain it. And that is done by possession, and possession is a funny thing. It's a funny operation. It never starts suddenly. You don't wake up in the morning and say, gee whiz, I'm possessed. You know, it doesn't happen like that. It's like any addiction. It's like anything that happens slowly. It's bit by bit. Bit by bit, I cede control of my will and my intellect to a demon. And one day, the possession is complete.
As the process of takeover is underway, is it a fight between the person's...
Yes, it is, between the person's will and the demon intending to possess. Usually the tendency or the attempt to possess is through deception.
Are there cases in which a possession is not obvious?
Yes,
I would imagine there are many where the spirit has simply won and is in firm control. I would think that the people who come to you are those who are sort of in the middle of a giant battle.
That's right. When you find some, you know, the typical things of somebody throwing themselves on the ground or cursing and spitting and protesting and defecating, urinating, and all sorts of protest. What they're doing is protesting, saying, help me.
Yes.
Help me. Really, the perfectly possessed, we call them the perfectly possessed, are those completely at peace. And I've known several of the perfectly possessed, and I avoid them like the pest. And you know them only by almost accidental means. Sometimes they're perfectly normal, by the way, and they've got great business property. They're married, they have children and wives, and they put down responsible jobs. There's nothing wrong there. Now and again, just now and again, it's as it were, a veil is drawn aside, and you see somebody you don't know at all. You just don't know this person, this man, this woman. And there's a completely alien look, a completely alien attitude, and they breathe alienation. And you know then, if you have a nose for it, you know then that they're perfectly possessed and there's nothing to be done about it. The first man I knew like that was called Beedham, John Beedham, and it was a frightening experience because I had known him for years.
In other words, their pact, their deal, they are at peace with and comfortable with their deal.
That's right. And they have passed through the usual Satanist rituals too. The three Satanist rituals: the power of inflicting pain, the power of hating, and the power of burning fire. Fire is part of the Satanist and the Luciferian development. And they pass through all those with flying colors.
How many people, Father, do you think are in that condition? Let's just talk about America right now. Forget the rest of the world.
On a percentile basis, you mean?
Sure.
A minimal crowd, a minimal set of people. By minimal, what do I mean? Well, we're 260 million, isn't it, or something like that?
Yes.
I'm trying to make a proportion between the number I've known and the general population. I suppose about 10 million.
10 million. Well, here's a tough question for you.
Uh-huh.
Would we generally, if we could see these 10 million people,
Yes.
would we find that they are the powerful, the successful, the...
Yes. You would. None of them are obscure. None of them are failures. None of them are without respect and means. A lot of them are in high places.
But that's the very worst possible scenario for the world. These are the people who are shaping policy.
Well, that is the difficulty, that we do find those in charge of things. But yes, there are people in very high places as well as in normally high places who are perfectly possessed. There's no doubt about that.
Possession of the real diabolic kind is generational.
Generational.
Aha, it's generational.
Passed on.
It's passed on by training. And it's a dreadful thing when somebody comes in who are perfectly respectable, good, noble American families, and they have reared their children to be Satanists and to accept possession. And they would, unless they stopped themselves, pass it on to their children. And it's been going on for well over 200 years.
Generational possession.
Yes. Yes. It's, let me explain that. It's not that possession is passed on with semen, passed on with genes. No. It's that the same demon inhabits the members of the same family for generations. Consensually. He is nourished by them and kept by them and satisfied with them. The children are trained in it, and they perpetuate it in their children. It has gone on for generations. It's generational.
If somebody were to make a pact with the devil, then obviously the implication is if the devil is there to make a pact with them, to make a deal, to make their life, their short mortal life on earth, pleasurable, with money or women or travel,
more interesting,
or more interesting, whatever it is they want.
Yes.
Then they are aware of the presence of the devil, and they are obviously aware then of the presence of God as well, and they nevertheless make a conscious, stupid, short-term, blind choice to take what they can get in this lifetime. And to embrace one, you must embrace the other. It's not like it's some wishy-washy prison.
I know you do. It is very not easy to understand. Except when you talk with them, when they let their hair down and peel grapes, as we say, and when they're on their way to being cured of what or healed is the proper word, you find that there's an exhilaration and a satisfaction which is both sensual and sexual and mental when they really indulge in Luciferian worship. There is a peculiar exhilaration.
Like a drug, then?
Yes, it's a peculiar exhilaration. And of course, the godly instincts in us all, the angelic in us all, because we all have something angelic and something godly, besides everything else, a lot of other negative things, that is quenched. And you find in them a horror of anything what we call sacred and holy or sacrosanct, or the idea of the idea of the sacred, of the awesome,